That's a good one for these waters, isn't it, Tophiel?
It's about a 3. Now that is a nice Pickwick smallmouth.
But that's dinner.
O'Neill Outside with Travis Johnson is presented each week by Works Power Share. Share batteries, save money.
Hello again, everyone. I'm O'Neill Williams, and welcome to our program. Last year, I went fishing with Davey Hite. He's won the Bassmasters Classic, the FLW Tour Cup, and he's a Bassmaster Angler of the Year. He knows how to do it. We fished last year. We used mop jigs, and we had such an incredible response to the lessons that he taught. We decided to go fishing again. It's March. We're at the Kingfisher Society Pond up here in North Carolina. It may be the best bass fishing lake in the world, and you get to tune in again and talk to and listen to and learn from Davey Hite. Don't you go anywhere. This is it on O'Neill Outside. I got mine.
Got it?
Yeah.
Good one.
I hate it when they're way out there like that. I never feel, huh? I always think I'm not gonna get it in there good enough.
Good fish.
When the water temperatures begin to rise, I call Davey. No, when the water temperature begins to rise,
Sorry.
when it's still down there in the 50s, I'm still throwing a jig. And Davey does too, but he's doing something a little different.
I've got a plan in mind that I hope the fish will back me up.
Oh, look at here.
Boy, that's a nice one. There's one.
Okay.
Maybe my plan will work.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, this is a good one. Yours is too. Oh, God. Look at this football.
Oh, man. Oh.
Now look at that. Look at that. That's 2 mop jig fish right there.
That's
isn't
exactly right. We're using mop jigs 2 different ways according to the temperature. We'll put these back and give Davey a chance to tell you the change in the style, or you change in retrieve. What would you say?
A little bit of both. A little bit of both.
All right.
Gosh, it doesn't get any better than that right there. Look at that. Gotta love it, folks.
The way I fish a jig, I'll cast a jig up, bring it back, let it fall next to the structure. But you're changing up as the water temperature rises, and what is it?
You know, O'Neill, last time we fished together, we fished a jig and it was extremely cold, and those fish are lethargic. And, you know, we caught good fish, but you just had to slow down. Those fish are cold-blooded and they're lethargic. Now the water temperature is rising, and typically those fish will just come up in the water column and they'll get closer to the surface that's warming quicker.
Oh, I see.
So,
like today.
Like today, just like today. So what I try to do, I use a big fish bait, my favorite big fish bait, the mop jig, and I swim that bait in the upper part of the water column where I think most of those fish want to be right now. They want to be by the fireplace or close to the heater.
There he is.
I believe you caught up.
Yes, I did. There he is.
Good job.
I got it with him. Now, Davey is using the jig in a different way. And I want to let him tell you what that is, and then under the idea of or subject of competition and so many good fishermen being out there. You ready, Davey?
I'm ready.
All right, tell me about it.
Well, I've been swimming this mop jig a little more so than you, although that's a good one, and you were fishing down a little closer to the bottom.
I was on the bottom, that's right.
But normally with the water temperature rising, these fish kind of come up in the water column, and you know, for many years we threw spinner baits.
Oh yeah.
And I still love throwing a spinner bait as much as anyone, but you know, mop jig's a big fish bait, and as professionals, you know, we're always looking for something different for an edge, or you know, just a little nick. You know, and probably mentally as much as anything, it gives you a little edge. But instead of fishing a spinner bait, it's got that same flash, that same vibration as probably 8 out of 10 of your fishermen that go down a bank on a beautiful Saturday. Then I swim this jig up in the water column just like where a spinner bait would be. Most people fish a jig on the bottom always.
Almost always. I have not done your method yet, and he's gotten 5 bites, and I got 1. I happened to catch this one, but does that go back to your discussion as it begins to warm, that the fish will maybe rise in the water column, and I'm going to be fishing underneath him?
Absolutely, you know, and you just have to adjust from day to day. One thing that will make these fish not come up quite as much is we have such a high pressure today. So you just do a little of both. I think we're, you know, making a good team today. You fishing the jig down on the bottom more than me up top. But I'm always looking to do a little something different, and it's, you know, time on the water is everything to a weekend angler or to a tournament fisherman, or when you're filming shows. You've got to be somewhere else tomorrow. You got to do a hunting show next week. So you want to maximize your time on the water. By maximizing time on the water, that means we want to have our bait in front of the fish as much as we can.
Get in, get it back out.
So if they're, absolutely, and if they're this far under the surface, have it that far under the surface, not 5 feet below.
O'Neill Outside with Travis Johnson is brought to you by your Southeast Toyota dealer. Let's go places. Fire Aid. Don't fight fires, extinguish them. Bojangles' famous chicken and biscuits. Year One Muscle Car Parts. And by the Georgia Department of Tourism and Economic Development.
Ooh. You get out of your way here. Oh, yes.
There we go. Beautiful fish.
Absolutely.
Got a few little.
Is that a 4? Is that weigh 4 pounds?
That
3.5?
I'm gonna say that fish is 4 because it's just so thick. It's just, it really, really is. It's
and you're swimming the jig.
Beautiful fish. Yep.
All
you know,
right.
I've got. Let me put him back. Beautiful fish. I've got a mop jig, and this is actually a swimming Senko I got on here, and just casting the bait out and keeping them up off the bottom. And you can fish the bait 3 inches under the surface, midway, a foot off the surface. But you know, you've been getting almost as many bites as me. So instead of fishing right across the surface, I've dropped it down in the water column about midway. And another thing that and you've got the rattles too, but with this mop jig, you can clip these rattles on or take them off. When I'm swimming this bait, I'm shaking it, and with the water temperature rising like it's doing now, versus when we fished last year, it was falling. I like rattles 100% of the time because those fish are getting more and more aggressive as that water temperature is rising, and they get aggressive and go towards more sound and vibration than they do other times.
Well, that lends itself to what we said about doing a little bit of something different. If you're throwing a jig with a rattle in it versus one without a rattle.
Absolutely.
And 2, when you change the way you do things, you're not suddenly going to catch 50 a day instead of 8. You may catch 9 or 10 instead of 8. It's not going to be a great revelation, but the way you learn to fish a jig this way, or the way I'm doing it, is to dedicate a day, a weekend, 2 or 3 days in a row. Don't use anything but that.
Right.
Make sure you do that.
And it's hard to do. It's hard to take ourselves away from our comfort level, you know, in anything. But to become a more well-rounded fisherman, become a better fisherman, you've got to learn different techniques, that's for sure.
Let's, with the water warming up, let's fish a little shallower. Right over here. What do you say? Down here. It really takes a smart guy and experienced fisherman to come up with a tip like this. Those wintertime days or the wintertime tournaments when we used to do so much of the big crankbait fishing when the water's cold and cranking down there at 15, 18 feet, you can get tired doing that all day. Here's a tip. Use a glove on your left hand. That reduces the amount of pressure it takes all day for you to hold on to the reel, and you might be able to be fresh enough late in the day to get that extra bite. Sometimes it's slight. That's a great idea from TJ, and it's a glove on your left hand during those wintertime big crankbait tournaments. And it's all from TJ at True Turn. Got it? Oh, good for you. Swimming the jig.
Swimming the jig.
Oh, yeah.
Not as big as some of those, but we'll sure take you.
Absolutely. All right, I want to know 2 things from this fish. why the long skirt on the mop jig? Why is it so big and wide?
Well, you know, as tournament fishermen, we're always looking for big fish, 5 fish. We were talking earlier about you catch 100 a day, it really doesn't do you any good. You can only bring in 5. Wow. That's a quality fish there. But, you know, if you look at tournament history, the jig has always been a big player in tournament wins. Well, when you one up that, a big jig seems to catch even bigger fish. Now, you can catch big fish on small lures, you know that.
Absolutely.
But a big jig catches bigger fish. But the thing about the mop jig is the living rubber and the action that it has. Now, silicone is beautiful. I mean, they make so many colors nowadays, it's incredible. But the action and the lifelike action that this bait has, when you look at yours in the water, and I'm gonna drop mine right beside it.
It flares out, doesn't it? When you stop it, it flares out.
And even when you stop, it continues to almost move on its own. And it just looks, it has so much action. You know, it's good on bedfish. You just right there in the bed, it continues to move. And almost everything in nature, when it gets in a defensive mode, like a crawfish is about to be eaten, what does he do? He tries to look like a big lobster, you know? And with this jig, I think it just simulates nature. And when you stop that bait, especially if it's around a piece of cover where a bass is living, and it flares up like, man, I'm the king of this house. And that bass, even if he's not hungry, he's gonna whack it. Every time, every time.
There you are, the mop jig with the rattles.
With the rattles.
It really is a pure fish catcher. All you have to do is throw it.
That's right. Swim it on the bottom, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's right, okay. Out of the grass bed?
Yeah, finally.
Oh, that's a whopper there too, man. Well done. Okay, mighty fine.
Look at there. That's a good one.
That's it. All right, we're going to talk about something.
What you like to see is only line come out of his mouth too. That means you showing them what they want.
Yeah, you got him. Now we've got to talk about something. I hope the light's right. Ooh.
Gorgeous fish.
That's
gorgeous
exactly
fish.
right. It's beautiful.
There's not a blemish on that fish. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous.
Healthy, solid fish. Question is, stick up grass bed right out in front of you. How far away are you, and how do you approach throwing a jig into the target?
I think you need to put your bait right in the target, right in the sweet spot on your very first pitch, because typically if you've got a big fish, it's going to be a dominant fish. A big fish is not going to live next door to the Taj Mahal. He's going to own the Taj Mahal.
He's going to be in it.
And another thing, you know, sometimes on days you can cast 5 or 10 feet away from a fish or a specific target, and that fish will come out there and eat that bait. But in today's world, especially on pressured lakes that we fish so many tournaments in, you've got to put that bait right there in front of that fish. It's like me, fish are opportunistic feeders. If I'm sitting on the couch after supper, content, full, watching a football game, a basketball game, in my recliner, everything's great, I've had plenty to eat, and my wife says, honey, would you like a piece of cake? I say, sure, chocolate cake.
May as well.
And she says, go down to the grocery store and buy you one. Then I'm gonna say, no, I'm watching my weight. I don't need anything right now. But if she says, honey, would you like a piece of cake? And she sets it in my lap, guess what?
You eat it.
You eat it every time. And bass are the same way.
Well, that was a good example there because you didn't see it, but I was 3 feet out from the edge of that grass, and I came right through it, nothing. And you were right in the edge of the grass, and he bit you.
Couldn't stand that chocolate cake right there in front of me.
That's right. You got him?
Yeah, but
Oh, man. Okay.
pig.
I noticed that you don't wait at all. When you feel the fish, you set the hook, don't you?
That's right, they don't have hands.
When he's carried, ooh, Davey.
Oh, look at that.
Absolutely.
You know, you could catch 100, or I could catch 100 of these and I would just go, oh, every time. That's such a beautiful sight.
Absolutely.
You see so many fish that just look like they're on Slim Fast, and these look like they're on steroids.
There you go. Look at that.
Gosh.
Largemouth. Now, the water temperature is up to about 63. We started out this morning at 54. Davey has demonstrated to me now how the fish have gotten off of the little stumps and things where I caught some fish yesterday, and now they've moved up into the grass.
You know, that grass warms up and the crawfish get active, and that's where they're living in that decayed vegetation. And those big fish just have to be focusing in on those crawfish.
And that's what the mop jig is a crawfish imitation.
Crawfish on steroids.
That's right. Okay, well, you made a believer out of me.
Now join O'Neill for this week's Big Green Egg wild game and fish recipe.
It's a terrific idea for some buffalo. I had taken a buffalo some time ago. Hadn't been in the freezer too long. So I got the buffalo, and I'm going to use a fire wire, it's called, by Big Green Egg, and I'll put some more buffalo on here. And I've got some special sauce to go on it, which you're going to love, and it's easily done. But you have to cook the buffalo first. Now, buffalo cooks a lot faster than beef does, way faster. So here we go. Now, let me do the shrimp too before I get too far along. Oh, shrimp's already done. I'm going to put in this little dish here some garlic. I usually cook with the egg at about 350. Everything's 350 or 400. But man, oh man, this is going to cook fast. I've got it set on 500 degrees. Lemon zest, garlic, and olive oil. Wasn't there a cartoon character named Olive Oil? I think there was. Popeye, right? Was her name Olive Oil? Okay. First of all, the buffalo. And, oh boy. If I don't set myself on fire at 500 degrees, it'll be great. Push this in just a little bit so I can close the lid. There we are. Now, it won't take long for that to cook. Stand by, and then I'll put the shrimp on. Give the buffalo at about 500 degrees for a couple of minutes. It'd be better if I use that. The shrimp is very short term. It doesn't take long. And you'll be ready with buffalo and shrimp kebabs, and I'll show you. I'll bet Gail will add something to the recipe. Buffalo and shrimp using a Big Green Egg fire wire. You should give it a try. Serve it with some mashed potatoes. That's Gail's specialty. Want the recipe? It's awfully easy. O'NeillOutside.com, BigGreenEgg.com. Big Green Egg, the ultimate cooking experience.
We have more with O'Neill and Travis, but first, let's thank these sponsors. Your Southeast Toyota dealer. Let's go places. The Whitetail Institute of North America. Research equals results. Fisher's Choice Canned Baits. And by Tough Shed, premier builder of sheds and garages. Check them out at toughshed.com.
You really did, didn't you?
Oh, that's a big one.
You are the greatest. I swear you are the greatest.
There we go.
Oh,
now let's talk about
man.
bass fishing.
Oh, man, look at that.
Look at that toad.
That's a 6.5, maybe a 7 even, maybe?
They're so short and fat, I'd be scared to judge. He's really heavy,
Yes,
really
he
heavy
is.
and just so thick. It's a beautiful, beautiful fish.
Davey is headed back to 96 South Carolina. It's about 4 hours away. We're gonna let him go, but I have a question for you that you get asked, and I do often. I wanna be a professional fisherman. What do I have to do to get that?
It's been great to me. I can't believe I've been fishing full-time 18 years. And you know, it's corny, but it's the truth. I grew up dreaming to be able to fish for a living. Never really thought it would happen to me. Certainly wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I had to work for about 12 years to save enough money to go give it a shot. And I had about a year to give it a shot. And, you know, it took me that long to save enough money to just be out there for a little while.
And you gave it a shot.
Gave it a shot. Fortunately, found some good quality fish in my first year in a certain tournament. Won a coin toss, got to go to those fish. Won $35,000, which was more money than I ever dreamed I would see at one time. And you know, $2 million later, I'm still doing it.
What would you say to this 18-year-old that says, I'm the club champion, what do I need to do to be a professional fisherman?
I think it's real important to spend as much time as you can on the water. Okay. There's a lot of outlets now. The internet, you know, shows like yours are educational. There's a lot of resources, but it's hard to replace time on the water. Don't try to jump from the club level to the elite Bassmaster Tournament trail. Work your way up. Be successful at each level and take one step at a time. That's not crawling. That's taking a big step from being successful as a club fisherman to the federation, to the regional level, to BFLs, what have you, the Opens, the BASS Opens. Take your time and gradually move up. And you know, if it's something you want to do, don't let anyone tell you you can't do it.
Give it a try.
Give it a try, absolutely.
Catch the fish, publicize it, and get you some sponsors, and you can do this also.
Closed captioning is provided by Fisher's Choice, the ideal solution to live bait.